to my channel. I'm just a girl who likes reading romance, fantasy, romance, paranormal romance, any kind of genre of romance in general. And I also happen to have cerebral palsy, and it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to my channel. Happy Wednesday! Today's video is going to be my top 10 favorite authors and where should you start with them. I saw Jess at Piece of Books do this video, Tori at Novel Life, and Elle from Read Over Heels do this video, and Cheyenne. I'll link their videos down below in the description so you can go watch their videos. I tried to pick only 10 authors. The first person on my list, I have to go with Sarah J. Maas. And the book I suggest you start with Sarah J. Maas is, of course, A Court of Thorns and Roses. We have Farah, who's a human girl living between the humans and the fae. One day she kills a deer that it turns out to be a fae prince, and the king, the spring court called on her to return her debt, so she goes with the fae, and her whole journey gets started. So I suggest you start with A Court of Thorns and Roses. The next author is my all-time favorite, is Kennedy Ryan. I've read her Kingmaker's Duet, I've read her Hoops trilogy, I've read Real, I've finally read the Grip trilogy. I love Kennedy Ryan, I've been reading her for years, but the book I suggest you start with for Kennedy Ryan is The Kingmaker. I'll put the picture up here. It's not as emotionally draining as some of her other books, like Before I Let Go. You still get emotional with the Kingmakers because something happens to a certain side character, but it will not break your heart as some of the other ones. It's an age gap romance that's right love, wrong time kind of thing. The girl is Native American, and they meet because the hero's father is building something over their property, and that's how they meet. It's a love story that follows them throughout the years. It's so angsty. I love The Kingmaker's Duet, and I suggest you start with that book. The next author on my list is Emma Scott. I love Emma Scott. I've been reading her for years, and the book I suggest you start with for Emma Scott is Full Tilt. Book 1 in the Full Tilt duet. It is about a celebrity. She's a celebrity, like rock star, and she had the romance with her chauffeur. If you read book 1, you want to jump into book 2 because the cliffhanger is crazy. I've read several books by Emma Scott, but the Full Tilt duet remains my favorite. So if you haven't read anything by Emma Scott, I suggest the Full Tilt duet. It will take you on an emotional roller coaster. The next author on my list is Krista and Becca Ricci. I've been a fan of Krista and Becca Ricci for years. I know they have some really long series, like the Addicted series, like a 10-book series following this group of sisters and their boyfriends. And then you have the Damaged Like Us series that has 11 books in the series. I know those series are very long and it can be very intimidating. That's why I suggest, if you want to get into Krista and Becca Ricci, I suggest the Circus's family duet. The first book is The Failed Audition, and it's about this girl who wants to do something different with her life, and she sees this acrobatic show on TV. She moves to Vegas to join that acrobatic show, and it's about her journey to learn something new, and she finds romance along the way. I loved it. It was my first book.
Krista and Becca
I read
Ricci
this book
book.
when it was called Amor. It's like if the Calloway Sisters and the Addicted series and the Damaged Like Us series is too intimidating for you, I suggest the Circus's family duet. Next, we have Penelope Douglas. I've read Credence, I've read Birthday Girl, I've read the Fallaway series, I've read the first book, Corrupt, in the Devil's Night series. I still have to continue that series. That's one of my goals, is to finish that series this year. But the book that I suggest you start with Penelope Douglas is The Bully. It's the first book in the Fallaway series. It will give you a taste of Penelope Douglas's writing. It's not as dark as her Devil Night series, and it's not as taboo as Birthday Girl. And in the Fallaway series, you follow this group of friends, and they each got their love stories. The first book is following Tate and Jared, and they used to be best friends, but then something happened in high school that Jared starts to bully her. Tate moves away, and then when Tate goes to Paris for the summer, and then when she comes back, she deals with Jared again, and it's friends to enemies, to friends again, to lovers. I love the series so much. My favorite book in the series is the book about Jared's brother, but you have to read the first book in order to get to that one, so that's why I suggested The Bully. My next favorite author is Candy Steiner, and I've been reading Candy's books for years, but the book I suggest you start with Candy Steiner is A Love Letter to Whiskey. And that's my favorite Candy Steiner book. It is so angsty. It is about Bea and Jamie. It's the right love, wrong time kind of thing. Something always happens to get in Jamie and Bea's way for their romance, but Jamie and Bea are soulmates, and I don't want to spoil it, but they meet when I think she was in her apartment, but then Jamie gets interested in her best friend, so nothing happens there, but they remain friends, and Jamie realizes that he likes B, but every time they get together, as I said, something happens. And this is my OG Candy Steiner book. It is my favorite Candy Steiner book. And I suggest you start with A Love Letter to Whiskey. My next favorite author is Gianna Darling. And I recommend you start with the Antiheroes in Love duet, because it's only 2 books in a series, and it's fewer books than her Fallen Man series, about a motorcycle club. I love that series, but I know that series can be intimidating. So I suggest you start with the Antiheroes in Love duet. It is about Elena, whose sister calls her up for a favor for her to represent her best friend Dante. Dante is a mafia boss in New York. Elena's sister asks her to represent her best friend on a crime. So it's their romance. It's Grumpy Sunshine, where Elena is the grump and Dante is the sunshine. And I loved it. And I loved Gianna Darling. And the Antiheroes in Love duet is a good place to start with her if you want to know where to start with her books. The next author I'm going to mention is my favorite, is Sophie Lark. And the book that I suggest you start with Sophie Lark is Brutal Prince. It's a mafia romance, arranged marriage, enemies to lovers romance, and it is also a good book if you're looking into getting into a mafia. I suggest that one. It's about rival families, and to stop with all the feuding, their dads arranged for his daughter Ada and his son Callum to get married to stop with all the fighting and all the pranks, and it's real enemies to lovers, and I just loved it. It was so fun and funny, and I love Sophie. I love the Brutal Birthright series, but the first book in the series is Brutal Prince, and I suggest you start with that one. Another all-time favorite author for me is Elsie Silver, and I love Elsie. I've read all her books so far, but the book I suggest you start with her if you're new to her is Flawless by Elsie Silver. It's about a bull rider who has a relationship with his babysitter because he kind of tossed his reputation down the drain when he said something bad about milk on a milk sponsorship. So his manager assigned his daughter to fix his reputation, and it's Rhett and Summer's romance, and I loved it, and it's a great introduction to Elsie. The last author on my list is Chloe Elise, and I love Chloe Elise. I discovered her last year, and the book I'm gonna recommend you start with Chloe Elise is Only When It's Us, the first book in the Bergman Brothers series. I love the Bergman Brothers. They feel like home. I love their dynamic so much. Chloe Leese has great representation in her books, great autism representation, chronic illness representation, and her books, the Bergman Brothers series, feels like home to me. So if you haven't read Chloe Leese before, I highly suggest the Bergman Brothers. Those are my top 10 authors and where to start with them. Please let me know down in the comments below who are your top 10 authors and where would you start with their books. I would love to know. There are probably more authors on this list, but I wanted to limit it to 10. I'll probably make a part 2 of this video. Let me know if you're interested in a part 2. I'll gladly make it. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. That would mean the world to me. And I'll see ya Friday. Bye!